Hey guys, Dan Heilman back with another video. Today I got up and I was looking at some charts and I noticed 4 altcoins that have done something really interesting that no other altcoin has done. So we're going to talk about what that could potentially mean for Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Litecoin, and what already happened with XRP, and it's very, very interesting. But first, let's talk about Bitcoin. What is going on the 4-hour chart? Looking at some previous price action, what's going on? What are my outlooks for the next couple of days? One very interesting thing happening today is in 2 hours, we're getting core inflation. So inflation year over year, month over month for core inflation, and core and regular inflation year over year. So basically what we're looking for to happen here is if we have inflation down, if we have it below this forecast, then it is going to be bullish for cryptocurrencies. If it stays the same as the forecast, it's going to be neutral, maybe even potentially bullish. But if it goes above it, it's going to be definitely bearish, at least short term for and maybe even long term for the cryptocurrencies, right? So if it comes in above expected, that means that there's going to be less chance of a rate cut, and that means kind of we're having stagflation where the economy is kind of slowing down and inflation is also going up, which is bad, right? In order for the Fed to cut, they want inflation to be below 2% on average, or right around 2%, and they want the economy to kind of hold up, so they don't want to do a bunch of rate cuts, which will put us into stagflation. So that's kind of what's going on with inflation. Again, no, I'm no economist, but that's how I understand how all of this works. Now, something very interesting is happening on the Bitcoin chart on the 4-hour in the lower time frames, and something on those altcoins I mentioned is happening very interesting on the higher time frames, really long time frames. So very interesting. All right, on the 4-hour, we basically have this bull flag. We broke up and we kind of broke out of this bull flag here and we retested it. Some people will see this as like a double top, but it's not quite a double top. And on the daily chart, it does look kind of ugly, right? You have this big shooting star pattern, this huge wick, and then we came down here, and then we have another huge wick, and then another to the downside. You could look at this and say, all right, maybe we're going to come back down to these lower bounds. Maybe we come down to 113K. And this definitely could happen. But there's also some more bullish things that could happen with this pattern. Now, there was, again, lots of manipulation. There was a lot of stop loss hunting, a lot of big exchanges like Binance have been basically dumping a lot of Bitcoin, a lot of Ethereum, a lot of Solana on the open market to liquidate longs. This is a very common practice. And if we look at the liquidation heat maps real quick, let's just get an idea of what we have going on both Ethereum and Bitcoin. So Binance, Bitcoin, what do we got on the 24-hour? We have a lot of liquidity up top yet again. If we go to like the 3-day, let's see what it looks like. We have some liquidity below that it looks like we're trying to get right now. You can see, again, this price just is like a heat-seeking missile right to this liquidity. What happens is these market makers, they move the price by either buying a lot or selling a lot to basically liquidate these users, and then they get to keep all of that money for the exchange, right? So they liquidated a bunch to the top side. They came back down, liquidated a bunch. It looks like we're probably, if I had to guess, going to come right back into this 117, even potentially down to like 115. We'll look at some CME gaps in a second as well, because that also can kind of suck the price down into that area. Let's look at the 1 week. We have a lot of liquidity down the 115 area. So it looks like we could easily see a pullback to 115 and then a rocket back up, because we do still have liquidity on the higher end on the shorter time frame. We could also go back up to the top end and then come back. So this could happen very easily. Let's look at Ethereum while we're here. Ethereum, Binance, Perpetual, and we have a lot of liquidity up at the 4,400. So in the short term, we could move up to 4,400. Let's see what we have on, that's 48-hour. Let's look at 24-hour. More liquidity to the top side. We've already taken a lot down here. You can see we took a lot, came back down, took some more. Let's go to like the 3-day. And we have some liquidity to the downside. So we could see a dump to 4,140, or we could see a pump to 4,400. Let's go to 1 week. And we have more liquidity to the downside. 110 million up here, 106 million plus 117 million. So a little bit to the downside more on Ethereum. So we could easily see a dump into the 4,100 or even 4,000 before continuing back up. This would not be uncommon at all. Lots of price suppression has been happening on Ethereum. So there's been a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of exchanges hunting liquidity and market makers. So that's kind of what's going on there. But all right, let's continue with Bitcoin. What do we got going on? I'm thinking you either draw this two ways, right? So you either draw a descending channel like this, or you could even draw a descending channel from here through the top of these wicks, or even down like this, and you could draw something like this, right? So this is another way that you could draw this channel if you want, and this would mean that if we want to retest this breakout, we kind of did breakout here and then retest a little bit, but if we were to retest this completely again, this would be another price dump to about the 115 range, which kind of also looks like what I just said on the, is that exactly where I just said? I'm pretty sure that is like exactly what I just said for liquidity. Is that pretty much the same? So if we come back up here and we look at Bitcoin liquidity for 48 hour, I think that's exactly where we were, right? So there's some there. Let's go back to the, I believe it was the 3-day. So if we go to the 3-day, 117 all the way down to about 115, and yeah, that would be about 115. Another thing is, let's look at the CME gap. So we do have a CME gap that we're actually filling right now. It's actually almost completely filled already. So this could easily get filled down to 118. So I think that maybe we could see a pullback to fill this gap. CME is open right now, so we're almost done filling it right now. Again, this happens very often. You get a pump on the weekend, and then you get a pullback to fill this gap. I don't know why this happens, but it's either market makers just hunting this, but it seems to always get filled, right? We had one way back here, and you can see we came all the way back. We filled this perfectly, and then we started moving up again. So we could easily, since we moved up, we could easily come back, fill it, and then turn around and go right back up. Now, again, if we look at the high time frame for Bitcoin, let's go out on the weekly here, and you can see that we are above this trend line here from all the way from 2017 through the 2021 top on the daily close. Through that candle of the daily close, you can see we have broken above this. This means that we could see a very large move to the upside. Another thing that we have going on for Bitcoin and Ethereum is we have a confirmed on the Camel Finance indicator saying that the daily cycle low is in. Very interesting. You can see last time we saw that, we basically had a pump of about 24%. Last time previously we saw that was a nice pump for 44%. So you see some big moves whenever this cycle indicator tells me that. Ethereum is doing the same exact thing, right? So it's broken out of here. You can see that the last time we had like a weekly close or daily close, you can see we moved up about 100%. And when we had another one right here, we also moved up, you know, a good 75%. So we could see a big move for Ethereum as well. And this one has also broken through some very interesting resistance. Now, if I go on the logarithmic chart, this is what I was talking about earlier. If I go logarithmic, I'm going to clean this all up, and I'm going to basically remove all the indicators I have here, right? So if we go for Ethereum, you can see we've broken this support line from 2021 to 2024, and you can see we've broken this trend line, and we're moving up. Oh, I'm not on log, sorry. I'm not on log. Yeah, there we go. Still the same picture, similar picture. You can see we've broken this and we're moving up. Now, there's something even more interesting is if we go look, if I go to my other page here, if I go to Bitcoin Cash, look at how interesting this is. So I'm on the log chart. If we look at the price action, if you draw a line through the daily close, and you come down here, we have broken this support line, same as Bitcoin did, all the way back from 2018. So basically at 8-year trend line, we have broken, and now we're moving to the upside. There's been one cryptocurrency that's already done this, and that's XRP. If you look at XRP on log, if you draw a line through this all-time high in 2017, through this all-time high in 2021, we broke it down here. And if you'll see, we did a basic price move of about 200%. Now, this could continue to the upside. You know, a lot of people will say XRP is going to $10,000, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, that's a little bit unrealistic for price. But XRP has done this. I was talking to Grok about it, and let's look at what he says for some of these price predictions, right? So Bitcoin Cash has done this. XRP has already done this and broken out. So again, it would have been a great time to get in right around the presidential election there. Another coin that has done this is Litecoin. Litecoin has broken this massive support on the log chart from here. And we are just broken it and just retested it. So we could see another easy 200% for Litecoin, just like XRP just did. 200% would bring the price up to 358, which is the all-time high. This is basically really close to the all-time high. We had an all-time high of about 415 in 2021. So very interesting that Litecoin has done the same thing. Now let me get a chart that has a little bit more data because this is Binance. Let's go to Litecoin USD and we'll go to crypto. Let's see if we have enough data here. Here we go. So we're still looking to break the longer trend line. So Litecoin, if we go to 2018, has not quite broken this in this long-term support, but it has since the 2021, right? So Litecoin, a little bit similar, but Bitcoin Cash has definitely broken the same one. Ethereum is kind of in the same boat where it hasn't broken the 2018 yet, but ADA is another one that, if we go back, I should have more data in one of these charts here. ADA is kind of similar to the fact of Litecoin. This one has also broken a multi-year trend line. Now, it's interesting about the Bitcoin Cash one because that's the same trend line that XRP broke. There was one other I looked at. ADA, XLM. XLM is another one that Grok is telling me that broke this multi-year trend line. And if we do draw a line, this one actually kind of got rejected at this same trend line, but it could still break it, right? So if ADA gets back above 60 cents, sorry, this is XLM, not ADA. If XLM gets back above 60 cents, we could see another large run. This did kind of the same thing that Litecoin has just done, right? So if you look at this one, just from the 2021 to 2025-ish, that's still a 4-year trend line. When this one broke it, you can see the price went up 466%. So for Litecoin, it's kind of the same thing. You know, we didn't break it from the 2018 yet. It could potentially still break it, but if you do the same exact trend line from 2021 straight through this close, we have just broken it for this 4-year trend line. So we could, again, if it does 400% like XLM just did, 400% would bring it right up here to a new all-time high, $670. I have some price targets from Grok as well. And the other one was Dogecoin. It says Dogecoin has broken a similar trend line. Let's go look at Dogecoin here. So if we look at Dogecoin, here is from, here's 2018. So it hasn't broken the line from 2018 yet, but it does have something similar from the 2021 top. If we go from here, we go down here, we have broken this. We had a nice move out, a retest of this line, which is pretty insane. I mean, look at how big of a breakout this was. And then 180%, and then it came back to retest it. So we could see, if we see another 400%, more from this trend line, if we see a 400%, that would put us up about 82 cents. And this would put us above the all-time high. So we could easily see a $1 Doge. But let's look at Grok and what Grok says about these different coins and their price targets, right? So I noticed this. Bitcoin Cash just broke out from 8-year resistance on the log chart. What price do you think it could see this year? So it's also saying that there's some also bullish things here. So it forms a downward channel. The recent surge above the line around the 500 to 550, coupled with increased volume and bullish momentum indicators like RSI above 50 and MACD. Current trading levels hover near 590, marking the highest point in 2025 so far. But it's saying technical analysis, market adoption, and broader crypto trends, right? Bitcoin halving cycles influencing forks like Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash is a fork. Litecoin, however, is not a fork of Bitcoin. A lot of people might think that Litecoin is a fork of Bitcoin. It is not. It is its own cryptocurrency with its own genesis block, meaning the very first block. Conservative, 600 600 to 800. So that's not a huge move for Bitcoin Cash, right? It's already at basically 600. So that is not a very large move. But if we look at some of the other scenarios, optimistic, 800 to 1500. Go back here, 800 to 1500. So that would be a move of, from right here, that would be 155% move. Don't forget, Bitcoin Cash has had an all-time high of $4,300. Sadly, I have been buying Bitcoin Cash since 2018. I did buy some Bitcoin Cash up in the $2,000 range. I also bought some down here in the, $200 range. So I have been buying Bitcoin Cash for quite some time. So I'm very negative. I have not sold any of my Bitcoin Cash. I think I sold a little tiny bit, but I haven't sold much. And then bullish scenario offers 1500 plus. Now, in a full risk on market, Bitcoin surpassing 100K. It's already above 100K, so I don't know where it's getting that info from. We could see something like 1500 or even 3000. That's a bit, I think that's a little bit unrealistic, but I mean, that's not even that crazy because it's really not even an all-time high. So even if we were to go to like something crazy like 3000, that's 380%. So, other coins could easily see this in a full-fledged altcoin season, bull market, risk on atmosphere, which we don't really have right now. We kind of have, high interest rates right now. So some changes would definitely have to happen there. But Litecoin is another thing. So I asked for price targets and it says we have a similar breakout from like a 4-year trend line. And it says conservative, 120 to 200. I think we'll easily go above that. Optimistic, 200 to 500. So 200 to 500 would be a nice gain for Litecoin. If we go here, 200 to 500. So let's say we go to 500, that'd be a new all-time high. So from where we are right now to 500 is a 320% gain. And we also have the bullish outlier scenario in a strong bull market, Bitcoin exceeding 150K, which I think is very likely. Factors, super cycle potential if 4-year patterns extended. I don't know that we're going to get an extended 4-year cycle. I kind of don't believe that, but I do still think that this high of $750 to $1,000 is very logical. I've talked about it before, but if I go into the cryptoverse and the risk curves, that also supports the price action that I think is going to happen on Litecoin. If I can find it, let's go to crypto screener and we'll go to Litecoin here. This risk metric that Into the Cryptoverse by Ben Cohen says the risk has always hit 1 historically for Litecoin, and my target for 1 is now $1,000.54. So this also kind of jives with what this prediction is. So I could see with fairly high likelihood that we hit $1,000 Litecoin, or even 900 or 800, which would be a massive all-time high for Litecoin and a massive gain from where we're at, right? So from where we're at right now, that is a 775% gain. So that would be quite impressive for Litecoin. Another one's Ethereum. So Ethereum has also broken out of a multi-year trend line. This one is not as long as the one for Bitcoin Cash or XRP or XLM. So this one's not as big, but this is still a 4-year trend line from 2021. We've broken that, and we could, I think we're easily going to make a new all-time high of 48.70 easily. Let's see what other price targets we have here for Ethereum. Grok is quite bullish on Ethereum, so conservative is $600. If I go to the risk curves here and I go to Ethereum, so even for Ben Cohen, $6,000 is still quite likely, 0.825 risk, and he is saying the most bullish is 11K. So if we go back to, here, it's saying conservative 6,000, optimistic 6,000 to 10,000, basically saying like staking from institutions, RWA, BlackRock filings, etc. We could see 6,000 to 8,000. And even up to 10,000 per community and other AI models. And bullish scenario 10K to 15K. Now, I wouldn't expect too much more than about 10K, just because I think the risk metric that Ben Cohen does from Into the Cryptoverse is quite accurate. And if we go look at it like historically, you can see that we kind of had diminishing returns, but maybe this time we won't, right? Maybe this time we will go right back to the one risk, which would be 10K for Ethereum. That would be quite bullish. And then I said, what else do we have here that has done similar? Cardano, we looked at that one. XRP, we looked at that one. Doge, we looked at that one. And here's some price targets also, I guess. Cardano says, if you look to like the really bullish, we got about maybe $1.50 to $3 or even $3 plus in a full alt season. XRP price outlook $3 to $5. This is what I'm thinking. So if we go here to XRP Ripple, one risk would be $6.46. So I don't think we're going to go too much above $5, but it depends on what kind of utility comes out of it. It says bullish all the way up to $10. Could happen if we have some crazy market. Dogecoin, similar thing. Current status 45, and it could go to $8 to even $1.50 in a speculative frenzy. Now, if we go here and we look at Dogecoin as well, what do we have for the risk target? About $2.50 for a one risk. Wow. I guess Ben's quite bullish on Dogecoin, and you can see here we've hit one risk every time. A one risk would be a $2.50 Dogecoin. That's kind of insane, not gonna lie. Stellar Lumens, XLM, it's saying that we could easily hit $1 or all the way up to, it says tied to XRP's momentum. These do seem to run together, but above $1 again, if we go over here to another risk curve, because I want to get some confluence between some different opinions, right? I don't want to just take Grok's word for it and say, oh yeah, we're going there. This is the most bullish scenario. We go to $2 for Stellar Lumen. That's a 4x from here. So that's quite insane. Another one, IOTA Conflux. I looked at these and I don't really see that same price action. I think I did check IOTA. Let's check IOTA here. So if you just look at the last bull run from here, you see we got quite a ways. It did break this trend line, and I think maybe that's what it was talking about for the multi-year trend line, is we're actually right above it right now again. So if we were to come back up here, that's 1,000%, which is quite insane. IOTA price target of $6 to $2. Do we have IOTA here on this? I don't think we do. If I go IOTA, I can't search from here. That's okay. I don't really see IOTA here in the screener, so I don't think he has a price target for that one. Anyways, that's going to be it for the video. I wanted to just hit these because it's kind of really interesting. I was just kind of poking around on the charts. I messed around with logarithmic scale, which I don't usually do too much, and I noticed that some of these are really looking primed to do some big moves. Again, that is Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, even Ethereum, and we had a couple other ADA, possibly IOTA. So some interesting historic price action. Dogecoin even looking to prime to maybe do some very large moves as well. So kind of interesting when you look on the logarithmic scale. It just kind of compresses everything so you can get a nice kind of view of what's going on. A lot of these are breaking 4-year downtrends. Some of them, in the case of Bitcoin Cash, which is really interesting, is breaking an 8-year resistance line. Now, Litecoin is also breaking the same if you're not on the log scale. So you can also look at these not on the log scale. And if you do it that way, you can also see that we are breaking some of these trend lines, right? So, oh no, this one did not have it, but it's really this long compression phase here. So yeah, it's really interesting to see this. And I can't wait to see what happens here. But you basically have this huge consolidation period for Litecoin and some of these other coins. And we're looking to make some really large new all-time highs for some of these altcoins. Again, we're just starting Ethereum season right now. Another reason which tipped me off to this is Bitcoin Cash is holding up really well. The Bitcoin Cash dominance is, as you can see here, holding up extremely well and also breaking this trend line all the way back from 2021. You can see, so I'm thinking Bitcoin Cash might see some big moves. Crow is also really holding up on dominance. So Crow Coin is another exchange token like Binance's BNB, but this one's holding up extremely well. XLM is holding up extremely well. When they're holding above the bull market support band, this white little band of moving averages, they're doing quite well. And Ethereum dominance, of course, is doing extremely well. So this one is rocketing up, and we could go all the way back up to 20% again, potentially, right? So could easily go there, or if we draw like the weekly chart, we could maybe just go somewhere like down in here, maybe up to like 18%. Maybe we won't make it fully up to the 20% target. But anyways, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. I do have some leverage trades open on Bitcoin Cash and some others. So if you want to, I use Bitunix. It's one of my favorite exchanges, and they're kind of a partner of this channel. So an amazing exchange if you want to try leverage trading. I'm down on some of them, but my Ethereum trade I'm up, and my Bitcoin Cash trade I'm up. Oh, it just went basically break even. So if you want to try any leverage trading, feel free to use Bitunix. It's the best way to support the channel. It's a great exchange. You can also just use it to buy spot, and they have non-KYC if you want a little bit more privacy. And that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Have a great day, everyone. See you guys.